Hello again, everybody. Welcome to my virtual campfire. This is Wingman Nation, and I'm the RV Wingman. Today, we're going to have an eye-opening conversation with Ron Burdge. He's one of the nation's most respected RV lemon lawyers. We're going to explore another real-life case from Ron's extensive experience helping RV owners navigate through the murky waters of lemon law. Now, in this interview, Ron is going to break down a compelling case involving a disabled veteran with an Airstream that has been plagued with issues. We'll hear how he assesses this case and what might tip the scales from an, on the bubble case to a case that is worth pursuing. If you've got questions about your own RV troubles or you want to share your experiences, drop a comment down below. Ron will be addressing some of your questions in the comment section of this video. Well, Mr. Burdge, in our attempt to try to help people that may have possible problems with their RV and their warranty and their manufacturer, etc., by looking at real cases, real situations from people that have contacted your law firm, give us another one, something that we might be able to relate to, and then, are you able to help this person or not?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I look for, of course, is just how strong a case it is in terms of, number of times in the shop, days out of service, significant defects, that sort of thing. Another thing that I always look for is what I call a good owner. And what I mean by that is somebody who's an RV owner who, when they sit in the courtroom and then get up on a witness stand, they have a story to tell about themselves that matters. And a good example I can give you is a disabled vet who called me about a bad RV problem recently. And in his case, he had bought an Airstream, which is one of the three companies that used to be on the list I always had when people asked me who builds them right for the most part. Airstream is still on the list, frankly, because they typically do build a good one. And this happened to involve one of their Class Bs, which is something they've gone into in the last few years, rather hard and strong. And they usually build them pretty darn good. They're expensive, but they usually build them pretty darn good. In this case, he ended up with 65 days out of service over 3 different times in the shop. And now he's sitting back waiting for time number 4 to come around so he can get in to get these things taken care of. He's got a handful of problems, and once again, he's got the electronic issues that a lot of RVers seem to be running into anymore. The electronic system doesn't work with the generator the way they ought to work. It's kind of like a brother and a sister who don't get along real well. And in this case, it isn't getting fixed. Well, in this case, he's got a good repair history. He's got a good out of service time frame, got lots of times in the shop, got direct complaints to the factory as well as the dealer and everything. And on top of that, he's a disabled veteran. And if there's one thing people care about universally, it's disabled veterans. Being a veteran, I'm a veteran, being a veteran means something to those of us that are that. And it means that to the public who didn't have the opportunity to do that. Seeing a disabled veteran get the short end of the stick is something that very few people will tolerate.
I agree with that, everything you said. But going back, you said 65 days out of service. Yes, it's a lot, but we've talked about some that have been 200 days, some 300 days, they're just 65 days. Is that considered a lot, or just kind of on the bubble, and the fact that the person is a disabled vet that helps it move over to the yes, we can help side?
It's a little bit of both. The failed repair attempts and the 65 days and all the aggravation that goes with that, making monthly payments when you're disabled, put all those things together, and then kind of like add to that the family, the children, and the disabled vet status. And it's kind of like, this is not one they're going to let get in a courtroom. So it's a matter of being able to probably get this resolved more quickly than normal, because all the characteristics fit a case that they do not want to have someone sit in a courtroom and tell a jury about.
You've talked about these control pad gremlins, these electronic issues, and I think that those are quite common. I mean, a lot of people, when the electronics don't work, you pretty much are SOL. I mean, if you're on a camping trip, you call somebody, but you're pretty much out of luck.
Very true. And excuse me, that's very true. And more often than not, we're seeing this arise with solar equipped RVs, where the solar system is really essentially an add-on to the unit itself. And they do that with the idea that you can go off-road and you go out boondocking and everything, and you're going to be all set. And unfortunately, it's just not quite there yet from a technological perspective. And when you think that the electronics, they are problematic on their best day, throw a solar system on top and go out boondocking and hope for the best there. I know it's supposed to be boondocking, but sometimes they have a different attitude to it.
I love it, boondicking. But
What you think?
I totally get it. I think everybody goes, you know what? I get it.
You know,
All right.
the problem I've always seen in the industry is there's a concentration on profit and less attention to quality and customer care. It is something I have seen going back 40 years. It's gotten only worse over that period of time. And the RV industry is one of the most protected industries in the country in terms of the government of Indiana not caring about the people who buy RVs because they're scattered all over the country. They don't come to Indiana and vote. So they don't have any reason to get out of the way. And they let the RV companies pretty much run rampant.
I know that I am oftentimes viewed as a curmudgeon and negative, but to me, from my perspective, I think that the RV industry right now is experiencing some very dark days, darker than anybody wants to talk about. The 79, 80, back when Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan and the economy back then. I hear a lot of people are giving the same analogy where we are economically. And what that means for RV manufacturers is dealers are struggling big time. Manufacturers are trying to figure out how they're going to navigate moving forward. And it concerns me about quality, the quality that's going to continue to come out of these plants. They're not working a full schedule. Many of these manufacturers, I don't know of any of them that are working a full, working like they were during the pandemic. I don't know if they ever will again, but my concern continues to be quality, which I guess is good news for the Burdge law firm. I mean, it's not good news for consumers, but.
I think you're right about that. And part of the problem goes back to this focus on profits. The reality of it is that until the industry cares, you're not going to see a whole lot of change. And you're absolutely right. And I became a lawyer back in the 70s. I've been doing RV work since the early 1980s. And what I've noticed is exactly that the reality is that the industry has not improved over that period of time. You might talk about, oh, we got this, we got Wi-Fi in them now, and then electronics, we got some solar stuff and everything. That's not the answer. The answer is improving everyday quality. The answer is taking care of customers. And that is not something that the RV industry has been prone to doing. And you're right, the economics of this country, they evolve over time, and there are good times and there are bad times. And unfortunately, when bad times hit, the RV industry usually feels it pretty good, more so than other industries might. And part of that reason is because consumers look at RVs as a luxury. And what the RV companies have always been able to do is sell the sizzle, the concept of RVing, the freedom, all the good aspects of it, without ever having to live up to the bad aspects and the responsibility for those.
My concern, and this is just kind of one of those big 30,000 foot concerns as I look at things, I think that RVs have been a luxury, but for many people today, they're facing financial struggles and they are literally having to get out of a home of sticks and bricks. And their only choice now, their only option is an RV, getting small and getting an RV. And so that's a good thing for the RV industry because they'll sell more RVs to those people. But it's just not a very positive thing when you back up and look at the big picture. So, I hope this quality situation will get better, but I'm not holding my breath. I'll put it to you that way.
I think you're right. And one of the interesting things about this is the advent, if you will, of the tiny homes that are actually on RV frames for a large part or on smaller other frames. and they just literally have sort of built a small RV. You know what? What I've seen is that the quality of those is higher than $200,000 RV. It makes no sense, but it's reality. And a lot of these people who are going into some tiny home or a small RV, you're right, they're doing it because they can't afford their mortgage.
If you think you may have a lemon RV, find out for free at rvlemonlaw.com. Again, if you think you might have a lemon RV, find out for free at rvlemonlaw.com.